My name is Mark Hardin. I'm the Director of Product Marketing at Xtreme Power. Xtreme Power makes power management and energy storage systems. To date, we focused on grid scale, meaning megawatt or multi-megawatt, but we've also looked at smaller kilowatt scale type of products. One of the blessings and the curses, I think, of energy storage is that it has all these cool solutions for various problems. To date, Xtreme Power is really focused on helping solve some of the problems of integrating renewables on the grid at a large scale. Renewables are naturally intermittent, and on smaller grids that can cause stability issues. Energy storage has some capabilities, fast response, accurate power delivery that can help with those issues. There are other problems though at the utility level, just balancing the grid, whether it's with renewables or without. That's certainly something we're looking into to help with grid stability issues. And then even more in the commercial industrial space, providing backup power, being able to reduce energy bills that are seen from time of use charges, tariffs, or even peak demand charges. There's demand response is another industry that's picked up very quickly. But to participate in demand response, you have to reduce the amount of load or energy you're consuming. With an energy storage system, you could participate in demand response, and when you do, you could discharge from the storage system to maintain your operation as it was going before and still collect the revenues associated with demand response. So there's a lot of different solutions. Today, we focus largely on the renewable and utility space. Right now, there's two big markets for energy storage where it really works today, and it's, as I mentioned, renewable integration on smaller island grids that have very expensive electricity. We initially had a lot of success in the islands of Hawaii, where they've got abundant wind and sun and they want to use it, but that can cause some issues on the grid, and so storage helps solve some of those problems. We're seeing new markets such as in Puerto Rico and other smaller islands pop up to have very similar opportunities, so we're certainly going after those. We're a believer in that as the penetration of renewables grows on the mainland, and 10 years from now, we'll see some of those similar problems, and we'll be able to attack them then. The second large area is in balancing the natural intermittency of the grid. Supply and demand has to always be equal, and to date, there's certain ancillary services that help manage that variability. Storage has certain capabilities that can do that better than what's traditionally been the solution, such as thermal assets. In fact, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission has fairly recently passed some regulatory rules that will help incentivize fast-acting resources, such as storage and other technologies, to do just that. So that's where we're going today. Today, we've grown very rapidly. We've had a couple successful early installations that really prove that grid-scale storage is here and commercially viable and works. It's not a science project anymore, and that really allowed us to get some of the early projects early in the industry. Now the competition has increased, but at the same time, so have the opportunities. So I think you'll see us, continue our growth, maybe not at the rapid pace that we've had in the last 2 years, but certainly get more installations, larger installations, outside of just Hawaii. Seeing some of the mainland, California is a growing market, so we really hope to expand in the mainland U.S. and possibly Southeast Asia. One thing we realized, I'd say in the last 12 months, is that no single battery technology really can meet all the different needs and solutions, as I mentioned earlier, in this industry. And we also noted that even though we do manufacture our own batteries, our real core competency, if you look at the knowledge and the skill set of the people here in Austin and Kyle, is around system controls, integrating all of these very complicated pieces of equipment together to work harmoniously. And so for that reason, we've fairly recently said, you know what, we're going to go integrate someone else's battery. And if that battery meets the need of the customer, we'll take that battery and we'll make a system using that battery. It doesn't have to be ours. And that sort of shift in business strategy, recently we announced a partnership with General Electric using their Durathon technology, and that was sort of the genesis of that. And we hope to be forging additional types of commercial relationships with large-scale battery suppliers that, as long as their battery application or their battery capabilities meet the application, that really allows us to meet the needs of the customer most effectively. I think gives Xtreme Power a competitive advantage in the industry. As I mentioned earlier, one of the knocks against renewables, if anyone's going to knock them, is that they're intermittent and you can't necessarily generate on demand. Some of these longer duration types of battery technologies allow you to truly store that energy, and even if it's the sun or the wind is creating energy not coincident with the highest demand, you can store it up, shift it, and then just discharge it when demand is highest, when prices are highest, and you can firm the intermittency so that the output of what was before a fairly uncontrollable resource now looks more like the output of a thermal generation plant. Now, is that to say it's going to run all day and all night like a gas plant? No, but it certainly gives it a competitive edge against a renewable asset without storage paired with it. I think one of the most important things that, from a regulatory perspective, you can do is create market rules and regulatory policies that help incentivize things like the renewable portfolio standards. That combined with solutions such as energy storage and other new technologies, continuing to drive innovation, I think is what's needed. It's a combination of both. It's not going to be solved only through policy and grants and incentives. It's not going to be solved purely based on technology revolution. They're going to have to help each other out. Hopefully someday, we're all par with the standard of generation that's created today by thermal generation. I geek out on this stuff is the short answer. It's so cool. I think any of us who have worked for a startup, which Xtreme is quickly moving out of that nomenclature, but that in and of itself is this dynamic, fun environment. It's changing every day. It's challenging. The difference is that we're this startup company in a startup industry. It's paving the way for this new technology. I was telling someone earlier, it's a little bit like working for a computer company in the late 70s, where people see that this thing's cool, but they don't necessarily see that it has to be around. And here we are today, we've all got computers in our pockets. And being part of that, revolution's a strong word, but I think over the last 18 months, we've really seen the storage, it's no longer if, it's when. And so being a part of that, even if I went to another startup, I'd take myself out of that opportunity, it wouldn't be nearly as fun. And so the short answer is, it's challenging, it's fun, it's exciting, and I couldn't be anywhere else.